So what we're going to be covering here are 4 different things that you can focus on going into 2026. Now these are things that you need to be making sure that you focus on before we get into 2026. Now, if you happen to start to work on these and we're already in 2026, then so be it. You're still best to go over these as soon as you possibly can so that you can plan out your entire year, so you can make sure that you have clarity and you have a purpose going into next year, because these are things that you need to make sure that you address and that you focus on, and you have to have a plan moving forward, because as they say, if you have no plan, then you plan to fail, you know. So let's crack into it. So there's 4 different things that I'm going to cover. It is the traffic strategy, the conversion machine secrets, and the content roadmap. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a blueprint overview. So the first thing I want to focus on is the traffic strategy. So what you need to be focused on going into next year, how to get traffic. Now, I'm just going to come out and say it. You need to be on social media. No ifs, no buts, no excuses. You need to be on social media if you want free traffic. If you're happy paying tons of money out, then don't use social media. You know, you can still use social media to get paid traffic like YouTube ads and Facebook ads, that's fine. But the way it normally works for most people is you need to have a little bit of a presence online on social media generally before you start to run paid ads, because you're going to learn so much by content creation, by being on social media, creating content, videos, blogs, articles, posts. You learn so much. So you can look at this as like, this is your sort of like training phase. Now you won't be in the training phase forever. You're going to go through a phase where you're just learning how this business works on social media. You're going to learn what works for you and what doesn't, and how you engage with your audience and how you build followers, and then you can convert those followers into your own ecosystem, you know, your mailing list, etc., which we'll cover not right this second. We will cover this in this video though. So you need to learn all of this, and it's only by doing that you're going to learn. And in order to get free traffic, you have to be on social media. There's no excuses. There's no ifs and buts. You have to be on social media. Get used to it. You have to suck it up for as long as it takes, a few months, a couple of years. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to get any traffic in the early days. You will, because your traffic will grow over time. So let's say your first month, you might only get 10 visitors to your website, or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish from being on the internet. That's the first month. The second month, you might get 15. The third month, you might get 25. The fourth month, you might get 23. And then after so long of doing this stuff, your efforts will compound. So month 7 or month 8, you might suddenly get 4,000. And then month 9 or 10, you might get 12,000. This is how it works on the internet. There isn't always any logical growth. It often happens in massive spikes. It will be quite dead, and then all of a sudden things take off. But you have to have the commitment and the discipline to go through those flat spots. So that's normally how it works with traffic, and you just have to get on the internet, create content. And if you're sat there thinking to yourself, well, Paul, I'm really not sure what to create. Well, then you need to decide on your niche first. You need to decide on your niche, decide on your angle, decide on whatever it is you're going to talk about and you're going to offer solutions for. So that's the first thing you need to do, and then start to generate traffic. So your traffic strategy is just get on social media, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. That might not sound like a very logical thing to do on the surface, but trust me, that's the best thing to do. Because if you sit there and analyze everything that you're going to post and think, well, I don't know about that, that doesn't sound professional, this doesn't sound good, just post it. Trust me, just post it, because at some point something will take off. Of course, you don't want to be reckless and just literally throw anything out there. You have to have a little bit of a strategy, a little bit of a plan to follow. Of course you do. You don't just want to be, don't be naive and think that, well, Paul said I can just post anything and post it anywhere and something will go viral. Of course, you need a bit more of a plan, a bit more of a strategy. But once you identify your niche and your target audience, just post as much as you can, as long as it's helpful, good, juicy information. Just post it as much as you can, or post as much content as you can, and then just have patience, be consistent. And that's really the traffic strategy for 2026. And that's be on camera, be authentic, like videos like this, for instance. Just make videos and just be authentic. So that's your traffic strategy. Your conversion machine secrets. We're going to cover that next. So what I want to cover right now is the content roadmap. So what does that mean? The content roadmap means what are you going to do with your content moving forward? Well, as I said, you just have to just keep posting. Have a bit of a goal on your content, not on income. And this is the mistake that I made years ago. So have a bit of a plan on, you're going to post so many articles or videos per week on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever platform that you use. You will find it much easier to make progress and make money if you focus on the traffic and your output metrics, as opposed to, well, if I work all of next year, I want to make X amount of money. The money will come, but the money will come as a result of the work that you put in first. That's the secret that most people don't really sort of explain and tell you. And these are only things that you really sort of learn after years and years of trial and error and just posting and work, hard work and in the trenches. So your content roadmap will look something like, every single day of the week, you post a TikTok video. Post that video maybe to Instagram, maybe to YouTube. Make 2 posts a week on Facebook. Do 1 single video a week on YouTube and convert that YouTube video into a podcast. And maybe that's your content strategy for the next 12 months. If so, that's fine. One thing you don't want to get too hung up on is thinking that you need to post 1,600 times a week, because you don't. You need to post as much as you can post until the quality of the things that you post begin to suffer. So if you can post 6 or 7 times a week and you're able to still post good stuff, then that's great. But you will get to a point where you feel like you're just posting for the sake of it. And that is when your quality starts to suffer. So you get to a point, and some of this sometimes comes down to resources. If you don't have the resources to be able to outsource things, or you don't have the time to be able to devote to your content plan because maybe you've got other things you're trying to do, maybe you're tweaking your funnel, you're talking to customers, clients, you're building your list, you're finding other traffic methods, etc. It just comes down to resources and how many resources you have that you can allocate to your business. So your content roadmap is just a case of posting, and make sure you're consistent and decide which platforms you're going to use moving forward. The next thing I want to talk about is a conversion machine secret. So what does that mean, conversion machine? Well, what you have to do is think about how you're going to convert visitors into sales. This isn't just a case of sending people to a sales page and hope that they buy, and you can make some money that way, but you have to have a little bit more of a strategy than just sending people to a sales page. So you've got your entire business on the internet. Even if you've just got an idea and you've got an idea for content, that could potentially turn into a really good business. but you have to have a plan on where you send people to. Do you send people to a opt-in page first? And that's what most people do, because otherwise you're not building your number one asset, and that is your email list. So you need to send people to your email list, or into your opt-in page, then into your email list, so you can get your customers and subscribers details, which is just, goes without saying, this is just good business practice online. Are you going to send people into a call? Do you want to speak to your potential customers before they do anything else? And this is where it depends how you want to do things, as personal preference. Do you send people straight into a form so they can fill out and then contact you? Or would you rather build an email list and then send people from your email list into a call to maybe give you a call back? Because this way you are building an email list which is going to be much bigger, and you can then leverage that email list in other ways, even if most people don't actually call you back. So there's different ways to look at it. Some people don't bother to build much of an email list. They would rather just get the people into their list that are going to buy their product or speak to them on a call. Or you could just have a general offer where you build your list from, like I do. I have coffeeshopincome.com, and people go into there and they consume my content, and then from that area I then direct people into other areas of my business where I can possibly speak to them myself and work with them one-on-one. So that just depends how you want to do things. So your conversion machine really depends on what you're trying to sell. If you've got a membership site, it will obviously work slightly different, because you need to still get people into your email list and then send them through a follow-up sequence, and then after that you can then sell them a product, but you need to get them into your email list first. It's no good you just sending people to a sales page and expecting people to buy first time. It's not going to happen most of the time. So depending whether you sell membership sites, one-on-one coaching, high ticket courses for like $500 a pop, plus a low ticket offer, $27, are you just trying to build your email list? Do you not have an offer? Yeah, maybe you don't even have anything to sell, but you just still want to build an email list, and that's a very, very good way to look at things. That is the best thing you can do, is build your email list of potential people that are interested in your message, in your stuff and your content, because when you do have something to sell, you then have an audience ready to buy it. Because this is one of the biggest problems people face, is that they're like, oh, well, I've got this really good product, but no one bought it. Well, you need an audience that already like your stuff, whether that's free or paid. And if you don't try and sell anything. It's just pointless. You need an audience first to then, sell to. So that is your conversion machine. That will be different for everyone depending on the type of business you have. I would say some people do have a very similar business. They do. But there's always going to be tiny little elements of the process that you may just slightly tweak, which will serve you better and it will work better for you. But that's only something that you're going to know once you get to the stage of everything else is mapped out. And then, when you start focusing on the details, then you can start to decide, do I tweak this? Do I tweak that? But the general way of doing things is you need a solid conversion mechanism in place to send people into that then converts visitors into sales. As I said, whether that's going to be a $27 product, a $10,000 offer, whatever, you have to have some mechanism in place to convert visitors into sales. So that is your conversion machine, and we're just going to quickly cover the entire overview of what I've just mentioned. So the traffic strategy with your content roadmap and your conversion machine. So all three of those things, when you have all three of those things in place going into the new year, you are going to make progress and you are going to build a business, a real business where you serve customers, you give them solutions to problems. Doesn't matter what market you're in, whether you're in financial markets, health and relationships, you could sell info products, you could sell coaching, It could be a membership site, but whatever it is, you will be offering a solution to a problem. That is just how money works on the internet, and generally you offer solutions to problems. So you just have to identify which niche to go into, which market you want to go into, and what type of problems you want to actually solve for people. And then you have to decide how you want to make money from that. Do you want to sell coaching? Do you want to sell low ticket membership sites? High ticket, when I say high ticket, you could sell like coaching, but sometimes high ticket could be, $500 to $1,000. And then, or you could class high ticket as anything over $3,000. That's how you sometimes interpret it. I've always classed high ticket as sort of like $2,000 to $3,000 and above. Anything from like $500 to $1,500 I class as a premium offer. That's just how I've interpreted that particular offer. I've always just called it a high-end premium course, but anything over like $1,500 and $2,000 I class as high ticket, because a lot of the time that would be one-on-one, and if it isn't one-on-one, that will be group coaching, like some kind of like group-based coaching. So that is your blueprint moving into the new year. You have to be focused on your traffic strategy, your conversion machine, and your content roadmap. Having your content roadmap laid out. You don't have to sit there for hours making sure all of this is done, but you do have to be completely aware that you have to have some type of a plan with your content. How you plan to create content, how you plan on getting traffic, how you're then going to convert that traffic into sales, whatever it is you want to sell. And remember what I said, it doesn't matter if you don't have anything to sell yet. If you've got nothing to sell, just send people into some type of an opt-in page, so you're building your list. So in 6 months' time, when you do have something to sell, you have an audience that possibly want to sell it. Don't just rely on social media, because that is a big mistake. Don't just rely on social media thinking, oh, well, I've got some followers on Facebook, I've got some YouTube subscribers, I can just make a video and no, it doesn't work like that. Yes, you could potentially still make some sales, but you need to be doing it in such a way where you're in full control. So you need to get everyone that is potentially interested in your stuff and your message to join your ecosystem. You need to invite them into your ecosystem and get their details that way. That is a much more robust way of growing your business, as opposed to just relying on social media to build your followers and then you sell directly to social media. You don't want to do that. That is just, no, don't do that, because you need to be using social media to obviously grow your traffic and your audience, but then you need to funnel them out of social media into your own ecosystem. So that's kind of like your overview blueprint for next year, moving into next year. So just make sure that you write these things down, you sit down and you think about it with logic, but also with some realistic timeframes in place as well. Don't expect to suddenly get 10,000 visitors to your website overnight within the next couple of weeks, because it's not going to happen most of the time. Most of the time. There are, of course, exceptional people, and they can sometimes just create something and it goes crazy and wild and viral and they get all of this traffic. It sometimes happens, but generally it doesn't. So that being said, that is your 2026 overview on the things to focus on moving forward, the things and the numbers and the metrics you need to focus on. Focus on the traffic and the actual tasks and the actual output that you create in your business, as opposed to money that you're going to make. Of course, you will make money as a result of you creating content and doing the work, but you're best to focus on the output. Focus on how many pieces of content you're going to create, the topics you're going to cover, how often you're going to create content and post it, where you're going to post it, the angles, the hooks, thumbnails. They're all the things that you need to focus on, because as a result of all of that, you're going to get views and you're going to get people like and watch your stuff. And then you need a plan on where to send them people once they are engaged in your content. So as I said, you then need to think about what you're going to sell, how you're going to funnel people into your ecosystem. Are you going to send people to an opt-in page first? Are you going to send them into a call? Are you going to sell them right off the bat on a sales page? I don't agree with that most of the time, because it just doesn't work for most people. You're best to get people into your ecosystem, into your funnel, send them through a sequence of emails, and then you can possibly sell something to them further down the road over the next 30 days. That is a much more robust and more effective mechanism to use to sell, as opposed to trying to sell right off the bat. So that's what you need to do. Go and do it, and I hope that serves you well for 2026 and beyond, because you can use this every single year. But this is more important than ever right now, because authenticity is the new currency. So whatever you do on the internet, you have to be building that trust, that credibility, and building authenticity with your audience, because that then will result in, engagement, more people trusting you, opting into your pages, watching more of your content, and then you can start to grow lots of raving fans. And these are the types of people that often convert into actual customers and people working with you, whether that's going to be one-on-one, joining your membership site, buying your products. But you have to build a foundation first, and everything I've covered in this video is exactly how to do that.